Okay, so I decided to create another separate uh, set of videos that I'm going to call Barn Chat. And it's going to deal with talking more about specific horses' stories, how they get where they belong, how they go in the process, and how this all ties together. There's a lot of different versions floating around that, sometimes it feels like it's through rose-colored glasses, and other days I wonder why am I even trying? Is anybody listening? So for those of you just joining, I am a Morgan horse trainer in Midlothian, Texas. I came from New England, have a strong background in working with Morgan horse trainers in that area. Had quit for a while, got a associates in graphic design. Eventually met my husband, got out of it, was in graphic design for a while, and we moved to Texas, and that's where I started my training farm. And within that training farm, I took on a lot of Morgans that came from unwanted situations, broker situations, repurpose, and through all that, also run Morgan SafeNet, which is what this page is dedicated to. Along the way, in the very beginning, when the internet was the internet, and broker pages were lobbying for horses' lives, or they'd ship to slaughter, there was a lot of registered Morgans going through too at the time. It was very short, very quick, very limited information, and truth be told, you think you're saving a horse, when as all this has grown into present day, it's just feeding another system, and that will become more apparent later in this conversation. This is not an attack on anybody. It's not an attack on the show world. It's not an attack on the Amish world I walk. I think quite equally in all realms, and it's more for the horse. This is why I'm here, to change the welfare and well-being of the horses we love. And it does end up by growing crossbreed sometimes. I'm not going to deny that I've taken on client horses that couldn't pay their bill, but they were also senior and they didn't need to be sold or going through auction. And the idea that there's companion homes out there is hard to find. It's hard to find homes for horses that come through our process, because yes, they're unwanted for a reason. They're not fitting a need for the owner. The owners come on hard times and feels like there's no need. No other way but to sell their horse. There's a whole broker system right now that I feel has gotten more than greedy, and the public is feeding it, because you think you're saving a horse from slaughter, but if they were truly helping the horse, they would not be holding these horses at such a high price, because that's not anything that happens for slaughter. It's just who will pay who's going to pay the highest price. And you're missing thousands of horses that are just literally slipping through the cracks. and being direct shipped. And again, have an example, several examples in the barn actually, transferring without papers, their identity's not there, not with them. There is a risk every single time a horse transfers ownership. It is a chance you take. But in some cases, I feel like it just has gotten so about performance and winning and who can outdo who. There's no, I hate to say collaboration, but sometimes that's what it feels like when you're out there. And to say I'm against the show industry would be crazy, because I love taking these horses. I like showing. I like bringing the kids out and showing. What hurts is the lack of camaraderie, I guess, or the internal support for everyone, not just your clique within the group. And it does push people away, and the industry's already hurting. Everyone's suffering, everyone's having to cut down numbers, everything's for sale. It's hard to find horse people that can handle, even a slightly forward horse. Is what's safe, what's not safe. It's hard to want to take that step back and learn before you acquire. It's hard to slow down and listen to the horse too, and just be part of the process, and not just have it be about performance and money and dollar signs. And it is showing up more and more. It's creeping in. We say there's a lot on Facebook that as soon as you bring up Amish, there's a lot of backlash, at least on our page, towards them still. And it's hard for me because I've been out there, and sometimes I feel, they use them for work. It's a totally different culture, but at the same time, the other side of the market is responsible for sending them there and giving them the horses, as well as, I believe, creating the hype to have the next best thing that the show world would buy. There's a handful of people, I think, that would be able to afford a prospect at $40,000. And you have to be connected to get someone to pay that price. And then you're talking about all the pressure of what is the new standard for today. And that's hard to watch in the arena. All the way down to the walk trot kids, for crying out loud. And I probably digress a little bit from where I initially wanted this first topic to go, but it is hard to be out there in the field working for these horses and not knowing what is the right thing to say and what is the wrong thing to say without offending someone first, and not just being able to have a conversation and how can we change it. Because if it doesn't change, and I'm telling you right now, with the horses that come in this barn, the horses are asking and telling you they cannot do this so fast. Whatever it is, doesn't even matter anymore, because you have 8 and 10-year-old show record horses going onto the road, expected to be performing at a totally different work ethic and load and not being able to do it. But yet we want new people to come into our market, but we're overpricing these horses crazy so they can't even afford a start in the market. And I don't even know if you've watched an academy class, but that's more stressful than just a regular walk trot class sometimes for me. So I can't imagine what the horse is going through. And God bless them, because every single one of them protect those kids. So it's getting down to auction and sales, and it's not even like, it's what we get comfortable with seeing, if they get listed here, they're going to find a good home. So Morgan Showcase is one place you would think that there are legitimate people, legitimate homes looking for horses all the time. But again, it's honestly, after this experience, it's really no different than having them run through an auction. And then I just shared the Keystone sale, and there is, so I won't say the Amish are pleading, but if you read through a catalog, and there's quality Morgans of stature with issues that either came from the show world or are now senior, meaning 20 or older, and they're wanting to resell them and even resell them in full, they're asking for another way, another purpose for these horses, because within that market they need more than ever to fulfill a job duty, whether it is breeding, working, I don't even know, mostly working. I guess those are the top two. And if they can't do those two things, there's less and less like pasture horses in that market, so they're looking for a way out. And then you have the show world where, maybe the horse isn't winning, or maybe he wasn't in the top 10, or maybe he was pushed so hard as a young horse he only likes to drive, so for that reason he's out and he needs to go be a road horse. But for how long? Because he was never bred to do that sort of work. He's more fine-boned. He's going to possibly break down sooner. Your new old horse in the Amish market is going to be 8 and 10 years old very soon. It's already happening. But then you have these horses that have gone that route, and we or somebody else has been able to get them out, and they would be perfect for these new beginner people. A way to encourage back to the barns, a way to encourage back to a lesson program, a way to start in the show circuit, a way to grow that, because these 1 and 2 entry horses, until you get to nationals, is really sad. And it takes a lot, I guess if you break it down by region, there's a horse show in New England maybe every weekend for a long time. I don't remember there being a shortage before, but when I moved out here to Texas, they're just getting fewer and farther and spread apart, and not everybody can afford to, travel 12 hours, once a month, twice a month, just to compete, especially in 1 or 2 horse classes, and then just to qualify for nationals. you start looking at it as what's the ends to the means, and when are we going to start seeing all these things. So Keystone sale is posted. I would say in comparison to Superior sale, which is in November, and Mid-Atlantic sale, which was in January, and probably the Buckeye sale, which was in a different venue in Ohio in what, March? Early April? No, March, I think. Anyway, they are all predominantly Amish attended. There are few, I feel, from any other market attending to give these horses a different option out or back in another job. Most of the time, I mean, I would say Keystone is probably getting bigger, but probably still going to be mostly Amish attended. And then there's thousands of little sales. So once they enter that side of the market, and again, I will reference a specific horse later. Once they enter that side of the market, there gets to be a harder and harder chance of the papers following the horse, for one. That is a big deal. It is not an education thing. It is not anything that is less important. Well, I guess less important might be one, but they also don't feel to put the money into the transfer. But sometimes they're going to a sale where the seller hasn't got the papers and no transfer has happened, but the horse is already sold again, and no transfer is going to happen because of the lack of importance of the papers in that market, whether it be for religious reasons, for any kind of reasons. I guess you have to understand what you're committing or agreeing to sell to. You either care, you don't care, or you feel like you have no choice. I don't know what the answer is. I don't, but it does get harder to keep trying with the lack of support, not knowing how to remarket, to knowing these horses are going to need help. They've already gotten too much pressure to perform in traditional training methods with the expectation of the show market today. The horses tell us that they can't do it. They tell us in behavior. So just prior to accepting the Fieldcrest Warlord horse, I was notified from a friend that there was a small driving sale happening. It was probably like I want to say the middle of April, and the horse that sold was listed on Morgan Showcase. He had a show record. He was listed as he was started under saddle but enjoyed driving more. I don't know the story behind the whys, but again, you would think Morgan Showcase, somebody legitimate would be looking to buy him as a prospect to keep within the industry. So the horse is HVK Oh My. And it says he's only 4. I thought he was a little older than that, but he actually the post had come up. It looks like he had probably sold in March, I'm thinking, because the person who contacted me knew the person who had him and listed him in this sale, which is a very unknown sale. It's what they call a firehouse sale in the Amish, and it's a fundraiser for the community. It was mixed breed driving sale. I'm not sure if they had to be registered or not, but there were other breeds there as well as Morgan's, and he was in the listing. So right there, a broker is purchasing. Whether or not the sellers knew this is immaterial. I'm just telling you the trail. This is the trail only, and what can happen. This isn't made up. It's not taking anybody under. It's just pay attention. So it probably sold in March to a broker, someone who resells horses, and ran him through this sale. I do know that the horse sold for $8,600 only because we had a sponsor to try and purchase him, thinking he would go lower than that, obviously, being it a lower quality sale. But he did sell for $8,600, and he did sell to another broker who buys to resell horses. So here we are, step 2 in 3 months. My friend said that he looked really good. Yeah, he has a show record. I did look up his registration papers. To date, no transfer has happened. I will tell you that the same broker that now currently owns the horse and will run him through a Mel Hoover sale on June 8th, which is a community sale, and my friends have told me that it's turned into less and less of a registered Morgan sale, but more of just an open Morgan sale, so they don't have to be registered. Whether his papers will follow him or not, I don't know. I know right now he is currently still no transfers happened twice. I do know that this same broker is the same one that we had bought Franklin from, who's already homed. He's safely homed. But no transfer. Oh no, I guess a transfer had happened on him. I take that back. But I guess my point is he's put money into this horse, and if someone was willing to bid on him, we can definitely help make that happen. But he's gonna be looking for at least his $8,600 back. I don't see that not happening. So that's kind of how a cycle can happen. Now in Franklin's case, while he was broke to drive and very good at it, he came from a show background, which is totally different from an Amish background. And when you're pulling a hardtop buggy down the road in the hills of Pennsylvania, I don't know if you've ever ridden in one, but I have ridden in a carriage, and the semis aren't, well, there's a lot of cars that aren't road friendly when you're driving on the roads in Pennsylvania. So he probably got his suspensory injury because cars came too close and he stepped bad and there was a pothole and something got pulled. It is most likely something that happened from that. He's sound now, by the way, but and I guess I was going to include in a future video his vet check, which does explain a lot of things. But I guess, again, the point is he's a very personable horse, and he could have very easily probably fit someone with none of the real behavior issues that he had, which is not unusual. You know, horses get along with different people. It doesn't mean because you failed at it that they're going to have the same reaction everywhere. Maybe if you change how you approach them and slow down and listen and react and let them be a horse, you know, things begin to be a little bit more successful. It's not about being better or worse or not good enough. People track a different standard, and that's fine, I guess, but to what standard are we actually pushing these horses to? Because then that brings me to Fieldcrest Warlord, which we accepted because the Amish man I knew, I felt, you know, we've worked with him before. It's not a big deal. He didn't want to see him go to a road. He felt like he'd work in a home where he could be out and maybe come in and occasionally ridden. And honestly, I had that. I had that home, and I thought he'd be perfect for her. And he took care of a walk trot rider, so why wouldn't he work? But I will show you in a short video how quickly we learned that, you know, he kept on saying that he had him evaluated and he wasn't holding up to the pressures of the show world. Excuse me. So what does that mean? And what are we pressuring them to too early, too soon? So I'll show you in a little video of our intake, and this was just at grooming. Mind you, he was perfectly fine everywhere else, and once he's out doing a job, he just goes to work and seems to enjoy himself. But we have to back it all the way up to figure out why is he stressing himself out so much before we even get started. And that, as you'll see in the behavior, is not something that, you know, happened in 1 month, 2 months. This is something that's been going on a long time and no one was paying attention to. On top of that, while he was taking care of a kid in the ring, he wasn't pinning, so he also wasn't fitting the mold. So it's sad to see them get pushed off and pushed off and pushed off when they could fit somewhere without having had to go through whatever has him so stressed out. So buddy, we're just brushing you. All that to say, we work really hard to help these horses. I think that we need to start being more aware of what we're asking them and asking of them, and be a little bit more forgiving and just take a step back and maybe enjoy them before it gets to the point where they're beyond being fixed. Because honestly, the call to help is far greater than there is any support to do that. So all I have left is to show you what I see, to show you their story, to hope that sharing this is not in vain, and that maybe it will make a difference for one person who sees a behavior, one person who wants to just slow down, one person who's going to be like, no, this isn't okay anymore, and maybe it'll start. Because I'm not really sure where to go from here. But this is the beginning of our barn chats, and I will be doing a couple more training videos to kind of show you what I've done to start helping Max with his behavior and what I am going to do. We also just adopted Gentry out to the same home as Frankie and Hal. Gentry does have a huge aversion, not just a small aversion, to shots and men handling. So I will also be doing a video as to that rehab process, because they're not set to go home until August. So hopefully we can kind of get a jump start on that. And yeah, I do think Max is a super nice horse. I think he's just kind of a diamond in the rough. But again, if you don't stop and listen to them, and you kept on pushing, you're going to run into you're going to get the same problems. You're going to get the shutdown. You're going to get them stopping, wanting to do what they're doing. The stress is going to continue and lead to more issues internally, not necessarily externally. And that's a whole other ball game. So I guess we'll show you how to slow down a little bit and kind of enjoy the process. And yeah, the rehab side of it is sometimes slow, which is also discouraging. Not gonna lie. But this is how we can help them. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed our first little barn chat. If you are interested in bidding at Mel's sale for June 8th, you can contact me privately on the cell phone I list. It's also on the website. It's pretty much everywhere, morgansafenut.com, and we can hopefully get you fixed up. I would plan a significant budget, but that is the least of your concerns, because we could have layover and assistance with transport organizations set up. That's not the issue. Buying and waiting to see if you won the bid is the hardest part. So till next time.